Hey guys, this is Tanner with Utility Disc Golf, and today I'm reviewing the Discmania P2. The P2 is one of the more popular discs in disc golf, so let's get into the review and see how this thing flies. So let's start off by talking about the look and feel of the Discmania P2. For most of the review, I'll be talking about the P2 in the D-line plastic, but I also have it in the X-line, the S-line, and the P-line plastic. But we'll talk about how those fly compared to the D-line later in the review. The D-line plastic is probably the most popular plastic type for putters from Discmania. It has just the right amount of stiffness and grip to where you can feel really confident whenever you're putting with it. The plastic kind of has a nice chalky texture to it, so even if it's wet outside or colder, you can still get a nice grip. And in the warmer weather, the plastic will become really nice and tacky. The rim of the P2 has a nice flat edge as it goes from the bottom of the rim to the outside of the rim. And then the top of the rim has a nice rounded edge as it meets a flat flight plate. The P2 can be a staple in most players' bags. You can use it for putting, you can use it for approaching, and you can also use it for drives off the tee. For driving with the P2, it's going to be a nice straight flying putter with an easy fade at the end. If you've been looking for a putter that you can throw really hard on a backhand and trust that it won't turn over, then you might need to look at the P2 because this thing has just the right amount of stability to where it's not going to turn over. The P2 is going to be great for straight shots in the woods, for soft hyzers, and even some long left to right panning and hyzer shots. For approach shots, the P2 is very accurate. I like throwing the P2 on a slight hyzer and allowing the disc to slowly work from right to left. And once you beat the P2 in, it'll become a nice straight flying approach disc. The P2 is also probably one of the more popular discs for Discmania and Innova players for putting. It can be used for spin putting, for push putting, and even like spoosh putting, where you kind of do a mix of both. It has enough stability to where spin putters really like it, and for push putters, you're going to really like the consistent fade at the end of the putts that you're going to have as it hits the chains. I also threw the P2 in the S-line plastic, the P-line plastic, and the X-line plastic. The S-line plastic is a good plastic type if you want to use the P2 as a driving putter or an approaching putter. The S-line plastic is going to be more overstable than the D-line, so when you throw it on a backhand on a flat release really hard, you can trust that the disc isn't going to flip over, but it's going to go dead straight and have a nice consistent fade at the end of its flight. The S-line plastic is the same plastic you'd find in a lot of drivers and mid-ranges from Discmania, and it's a nice durable plastic. The P-line plastic is going to be a stiffer and a little bit more slick version of the D-line. Since it is a stiffer plastic, it's going to beat in slower than the D-line over time, and it's going to have basically the same flight characteristics of the D-line right out of the box, but over time this is going to beat in a little bit more slowly. The X-line plastic is going to be the plastic type that kind of fits right in between the D-line and the P-line. It's a little bit softer than the P-line, a little bit more stiff than the D-line, but it still has that nice chalky kind of grippy texture to it, and this flies very similar to the D-line as well right out of the box. If you're trying to decide between these different plastic types, I would say it all comes down to feel for your putters between the D-line, the X-line, and the P-line. But if you're going to use it as an approach disc, any of these plastics will work. But if you're going to use it as a driving disc, I would probably recommend it in the S-line because it is a little bit more durable and it's going to have a more consistent flight over the life of the disc. The P2 is a go-to putter for tons of people, and there's a good reason for that. It has just the right amount of stability to where it'll go where you want it to go, with also having a nice fade at the end of its flight. You can use the P2 for putts, approaches, and drives off the tee, and it comes in a ton of different plastic types, so no matter what your grip preference or what you want to use it for, you can find one that works for you. If you're someone who's into having a minimalist bag with only a couple different molds, I would definitely look at the P2 because it can take the place of a lot of different discs. If you guys like this review, please leave us a like. If you have any questions about the P2, please leave them down in the comment section below. And if you want to see more disc reviews from Discmania, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, stay flat.